Okay, we'll get right to it with David.
Yeah.
Farrier.
It's going good.
Yeah, good. Hey, look, my question for you. Mostly reviews for your new album seem to be through the roof. People say it's fantastic. There's a few people out there that seem a little bit puzzled by it, though, I suppose. I was just wondering what you say to those people.
Well, I get a lot of mixed reviews, and I think I guess that's a good thing. I'm really delivering art in its purest form. Like, I'm just doing exactly what I want to do. And I've had a lot of experiences that have led me to like the type of music that I'm making right now a lot. And I guess I have fans that haven't had those same experiences. So I have fans that don't like Coldplay at all, and don't like Radiohead, and don't like Keane, and don't like The Killers, and don't like all these good, or I have fans that maybe forgot that they liked Phil Collins, and that they liked Boy George, and that they liked Michael Jackson and Madonna when they were young. I have fans that forgot that they listened to music before. Or maybe I have fans that don't realize that that's what rap samples all the time. And actually my music sounds more like the music that we would sample, So it's going to take, a couple people, just a few listens to understand it. I guess it's kind of polarizing also, just when you're expecting one thing. It's like a Christmas gift. I think people might be expecting like an 8-bit Nintendo, and I brought them a 16-bit Sega. And it's a better system, but if you wanted a Nintendo, you want a Nintendo. Only thing is, it's an early Christmas. I usually deliver albums every 2.5 years, 2 years. And I completely just dropped this. This could have been something I did as a mixtape, but I decided the songs were so good I could have just put it out. Now, if I did it as a mixtape, it would have been no backlash to it whatsoever. But the fact that it's like actually a real album, and I wore it, with my heart, really. Like, I put my name on it, because some artists, when they would do an album like this, they would change their name, and they'd be gun shy about what it is. And I think everything that I deliver is it's art, it's sonic art. And this is my project, and I believe there's songs on it that will affect culture, which is the end goal of a true pop artist. Like songs where you're like, man, I remember back summer of this, we listened to this song, or this is the most important song of the year, and that's my goal at the end of the day. Like, it will be somewhat of a failure if the songs don't penetrate. If by next summer, if people aren't saying, okay, you will never stop it now, songs that are so blatantly meant to be big and they're small, then that would be a failure. But hopefully that won't happen. All right, next one. Okay.
You recently said that in an interview overseas, you said hip-hop is over for you now.
I didn't say that. I think that's a complete paraphrase.
Oh, really? It was put in a direct quote in one of the Observer Music Monthly.
What does that mean? That statement, hip hop is over for me now. I've never said that.
Oh, that's what someone published.
I said that I didn't listen to hip hop in my apartment.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to ask if tonight is perhaps one of the last times that New Zealand will see Kanye, sort of the rapper, with the Glow in the Dark tour, and from now on it is very much going to be more, Kanye the. Or what do you see it as?
Well, it's a combination, but that quote is like so wrong. I never said that. Like, I still listen to hip hop actually, like in my car. I'll listen to like old Wu-Tang or something while I'm designing and stuff like that. But I really don't listen to new hip-hop albums that come out like that. Like, I really don't learn the lyrics the way I used to learn the lyrics when I was 18 years old and stuff like that. I don't learn it like that. Like, I couldn't, like, even albums like Lil Wayne's album, which I loved, I couldn't recite the raps for you. I'm just not in that position. Maybe it's because I'm, like, busy or something. Like, I'm, like, working on shoes for Louis Vuitton or something, and I'm, like, touring, and I'm doing this thing. But yeah, it disturbs me that they paraphrase me and say Kanye said hip hop is over. Like, I would never say that. But to answer your question, I'll just do what I want to do. Like, more than anything, I want to just deliver art, installations. That my songs are sonic art, my performances are performance art. The actual art is art. Like. And if I use rap, I'll use rap. If I use song, I use song. Sometimes I scream. You know, I make the dolphin noises at the end of Love Lockdown. So I might make an album of all dolphin noises. Next one.
Okay, Kanye, Dom from the Edge radio station in New Zealand. How long are you going to keep these sunglasses for? Because I can't go around changing them every couple of weeks.
Okay. That's the question?
No, just a comment. Question though, have you ever tried parallel parking while wearing the Venetians?
I wouldn't suggest driving with the glasses.
It's very difficult. Very difficult. Hey, I think something every single person in the room probably wants to know is about drum machines. On this new album, you used the Roland TR-808. If that was unavailable, do you think you would have gone for the 303, 505, 606, or 909?
Actually, we use the 909 more than the 808 on there. Like, you can hear the 909 all like on Paranoid. Goom, 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 goom. That's like the toms on the 909, but it's really the 909. Like, we brought the 808 in just to be authentic once I named the album, and that was like a piece of shit, you know. It's like the 909 was much better. So actually, all the 808s we used on the album were sampled, especially because we were pitching them and stuff like that. So, okay.
Hey, Kanye. Hello. You're performing here with Scribe. What do you think of New Zealand hip-hop?
Oh, don't hit me with the stumpers. I'm completely ignorant. I'm like completely just in my own world. Like I barely know the lyrics to my own album. So it's like, if I'm telling you like I don't know the lyrics to a Lil Wayne album, then I'm like I don't know shit. I'm like saying that I'll sing a Radiohead song for you if you want, but I don't know. It's like
Nothing about it.
Yeah, I'm like completely just an ignorant like big artist and stuff. And I admit to that. You know how artists, they try to be like all cool, like they're down and stuff? I'm just so not down. But
Hi. I just wondered, what do you think of New Zealand so far?
Well, I've been to New Zealand a bunch of times. It's beautiful. I'm sure it's like what everyone says. Oh, it's so beautiful. I went jogging and then... But yeah, basically that's what happened. Yeah, it is.
Hi Kanye, Isaac calling from the scene on Alt TV. I was just wondering, pastel clothing, what's happening with it? Are you still dropping it in February 2009? Is it now called Pastel Museum?
Yeah, we were having a bit of trouble with the name, so you can call it both things, like how BBC or Billionaire Boys Club, they have problems with BBC. But this is actually one of the pieces that we designed. We're just going to slowly drop stuff on the net. It's like the hardest part with the design is, for me, I've always worn the best clothes of the best designers. So it's like I wear, 40% of what Hedi Semaine designed and 30% of what Stefano Pilati designed and 10% of Tom Ford glasses. Like I look through, like Tom Ford does a range of 100 glasses and I pick like 3 of them. And these are masters of design, like 20, 30 years of their life, right? So then I'm supposed to do a clothing line, and I'm supposed to just find designers and design on my own stuff that represents clothing as good as what I wear, and that's like, it's super hard. So every now and then I come up with a piece that's actually good enough for me to wear, because I think people feel like I have a responsibility to them to do good clothing. Like if I put my name on it, they want to say, hey, Kanye, when I go to the club, I want girls to like me. And so I can't just do shit like take a polo and put my name on it and be like here and just like mass it out like that. It has to like really be good. And that's been the struggle for me, because I'll just see people make so much money off of clothing, and it's like I really care about it really being good. And it's like a frustrating process, and it's like, but every day I'm meeting new designers and learning more and more about design, and like actually getting to work in design houses. Like I've worked in Louis Vuitton, I've worked in Nike, working in factories, going to like fabric houses myself. So it's a thing like where Andre 3000, he took off a year, 2 years, I don't know how long, and really did the line himself and came out with clothing that represented something he wanted to do. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm like taking off so much time to be able to deliver the product, because it's something I want to do for the rest of my life, not just while I have albums out. Even though I'm sure I'll do albums for the rest of my life too. But
hey Kanye, Helena McAlpine from C4, how's it going?
What's up?
Good to have you here. Now we've just been talking about style, and another very stylish man is P. Diddy, who's turned around and said that he wouldn't mind being the next Black James Bond, well, the first Black James Bond. Would you like to pip him to the post? Could you see yourself as being the next James Bond?
You know, I was just having a conversation with myself about the whole James Bond thing. Because I'm going to turn my, I'm about to trade my DB9 in for a Maybach, for a short Maybach, because I want to drive.
Exactly the same, eh?
Yeah. So, yeah, that might be a good move. So I'm driving, I'm going to trade in for the short Maybach because I want to drive my Maybach or whatever. And I've always had a dream of having a Maybach. If you remember, like on College Dropout, when I had that, I couldn't afford a Maybach. And by the time I could afford a Maybach, I started learning so much about style and cars and stuff like that. It's like I like a DB9, but I have to like really figure out what's more pure to me. And I'm saying a DB9 because that's the James Bond car. And it's like that approach, you know, like tuxes, the bow ties and shit like that. And I had to like really come to the conclusion like, yo, no, I kind of like Jordans and I kind of like Benzes. Like, Benzes are like less prestigious than Aston Martins and stuff like that. And I like plastic watches and like, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be James Bond. I don't want to fit into this iconic, you know, figure that, you know, someone else has made. Just like with me, like how I don't want to be Jesus Christ, you know, like my whole life. They're like, you know, I was raised as a Christian and like, yo, be Christ-like, be Christ-like. And I'm like, no, I don't want to fucking be Christ-like. I want to be me-like. I want to be the best me. Because you're going to fall short of being Christ-like, and then you'll never quite be happy. And then you always feel like you have to give up 20% of your money to try to buy back some of this happiness or something like that. And it's just like, no, I just want to be me. So it's saying that to say, it seemed like, you know, me or Diddy were the ones that, if you take a black guy like that had enough like knowledge of like bespoke clothing and shit, and like, you know, if you look at me in diamonds and stuff like, to do it. And some people say, do it, do it, do it. You could do it. And I'm kind of looking at everybody like, yo, fuck you. I don't want to do it. I want to, like, wear a T-shirt. So I think the answer is sort of no to that. So.
Hey, Kanye. Sorry, I'm full up with a cold. Are you more influenced by MC Hammer or Vanilla Ice?
I think a bit of both. My hairstyle is a bit more Vanilla Ice influence. And I've seen some like hammer slacks that I thought looked kind of good and stuff. I might not be opposed to wearing hammer slacks again at some point. You might. So my pants will either be extremely tight or extremely baggy. And I like MC Hammer's dances, and I used to really like him as an artist. He was one of my favorite artists of all time.
Hey Kanye, Joe from MTV here, brother. How are you?
I'm good.
Just a quick question. You've been flat out touring with the new album, and you've been all around the world. I noticed that you got yourself a brand new Brooklyn Machine Works fixie. Have you been able to ride much? Do you get out to ride with Pharrell at all?
Nah, well, we rode a couple times like on tour and stuff like that. But this when I go back to LA, I can ride a little bit. You know, in New York, I got a few. But it's very difficult for me. I'm not very good at all and stuff, and I feel very much like my life is at risk when I ride, because I'm still getting breaking down. So I guess I'm a complete poser or something like that. Like people who can't like really skate and stuff, but it's a very exhilarating like experience though, because you're so at one. You would hope that all your businesses could run just like a fixed gear, where you pedal and it moves. But it really runs more like a 10-speed, like where the gear is not in place, and you're doing all this pedaling, and you're just kind of like staying in one place and shit. But that's what feels so good about it. It feels like you have power over your, you know, your destiny when you ride it. It's like a really, yeah, I get all metaphorical about everything I do and stuff. Okay.
Hey, Mr. West, Johnny from Disruptive TV, hip-hop show.
Hey.
Just a question about the new album. Like, your music seems to have taken a different creative direction. Have you approached songwriting differently, rather than just writing raps to beats? Like,
yeah, well, I always had this melody in me, but I think that, you know, just like how this album doesn't have a lot of like labels on it and things to stand next, or samples, things to stand next to it to say, hey, I'm cool because I'm down with Daft Punk, or I'm cool because I'm down with this Michael Jackson sample, or I'm cool because I named all of these different labels. One of the coolest things that you could do is to rap. Rap is like an instant cool. Like, I'll bust a rap for you right now. You'll be like, wow, that guy's cool. Listen to his rap. But But to be able to say, okay, let me write outright songs and melodies is just a greater challenge because you're not standing on all of these things that make you cool and stuff. It's like really like a naked approach. It's really like approaching a girl in a club with absolutely no jewelry, not any accolades, no one knows. Just approaching with a white t-shirt on and some like beat up canvas shoes or something like that, and just be like, hey, what you up to? You know, that's what this album is like. So it's like, maybe with this album, maybe I'll leave the club with a few less girls, but at the end of the day, I think it was way more authentic. And I think the songwriting, to have melody in it, makes it more powerful at the end of the day. Like right now, it might be like some tension to it not being so rapped out. But I've traveled the world and like I've sat there and rapped Gold Digger and people just look at me like I was crazy. Like Diamonds is like, all these great lyrics on it. There'll be people in the audience like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I don't think that would be. I think this album, you know, across the world, they'll say, no matter what, you'll never take that from me. I could see 50,000 people singing it. And it started with, you know, Can't Tell Me Nothing. Like, I pictured, like some Led Zeppelin real festival. La, 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 wait till I get. And I was like, I need to make the entire album be this. The entire album be a sing-along. This isn't an album that lacks raps. It's just too many hooks on this album, but there's kind of like no room for the raps.
Hi Kanye, Leilani from Radio New Zealand. Does getting criticised for singing now feel just like when you first started out and you got criticised for rapping?
Yeah, people used to tell me don't rap, so I'll read stuff and say don't sing. And it's like, you know, thank you for the suggestions or whatever, but I think I'm just going to go with what I want to do. Like, and, you know, I used to rap through the wire, right? And I would run out of breath on stage. I couldn't rap it all the way through. Now I could rap it like jumping rope, you know, all the way. You see it, like I'll be on stage for like an hour and a half, 2 hours and rap everything with no hype man. So that's where I'm at with singing now. It's like, you know, I barely got Love Lockdown out because it was only 2 weeks old when I did it at the MTV Awards. And I was like completely nervous and everything. And now when I do Love Lockdown, if my voice is warmed up, it like sounds really good. And we do it for like 15 minutes. So it's a process of like me actually getting better in front of people. Like it's just in front of 20,000 people. Like he's practicing in front of us. And, but I say 2-3 years from now, it'll be to the point where, for one thing, I'll write songs that aren't as hard to sing from me, you know, that are like Amazing is like easy to sing. And then Heartless is like way hard to sing because that shit is like crazy high. And I'll like go in the studio next time and everything will be more like Street Lights, Amazing, tell everybody that you know, like it's like, okay, this is like all in my range right here. And 3 years from now will be this combination. What's great about coming from rap though into singing is I think on this album I'm doing songs that traditional singers wouldn't do. Because it still has all like the swagger and the attitude of a rapper. Like, I'm not loving you way I wanted to. So it's really closer to like my idol Jim Morrison, like his approach to shit. Like when I see like documentaries, I was just watching a documentary on Jim Morrison today. Like I've seen the movie, I've seen like documentaries. I'm like, yo, this is really who the fuck I am. I'm really this guy right here, like in real life. It's like, and like people used to not like him and all type of stuff. Because I would wonder why people wouldn't like me and stuff. I'd be like, I'm not doing anything to anybody, but I just like, because you have your own opinion and you don't fit into things and you're supposed to represent people's other opinions, then people like have a back, you know, they'll be adverse to that. So yeah, the answer is like, yes, I do completely feel like it's that type of backlash. And I do feel like just like with rap, how I got better, I will get better at like actually singing. Like it's like hard to like even own up to that, to be like, okay, I really actually am singing. Because you know, like even if you talk to Pharrell, he'd be like, man, I'm not singing. I'm not like, dude, you're singing. I just saw you warming up before you went on stage. And you know, I won't be like, I can't say what I won't be like. I will be like that. I'm gonna be like fucking Jim Morrison. I'm gonna be like the biggest fucking star with the best songs, the most sing-along songs, and make the biggest songs in history. And it's just the beginning. I was going to say a completely, like, humble bullshit statement for a second. I just had to retract that.
On
On Flashing Lights, you talk about, I hate these more than the Nazis. Based on recent run-ins with paparazzi, do you feel like those words might have been a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yeah, man, I think I brought it to, and spoken into fruition, so be careful what you wish for, because I never really had like a problem with the paparazzi like that at that time. It was more like some studio gangster stuff. Like, it just sounded good to say that, and now it's like really true. But I don't, because it's all in paparazzi's level of respect. There's been times where you leave a hotel, they'd be like, yo, can I get a picture? And I was like, no. And they didn't take a picture. They didn't take a picture. And the fact that they didn't take a picture off of me saying no, I respected so much that I got out and had to take a picture with them. I was like, man, you guys are like really cool. I really got to take a picture of you. So that meant like if I was like had a girl with me, you wouldn't be attempting to take a picture to completely ruin my fucking life. You know, but that's my thing. It's like people, you know, you have these icons and living legends, and nobody wants to. That's my thing with that speech I had like a couple weeks ago. Nobody really wants to recognize that like Beyonce is a fucking living legend, and that she is just as great, if not greater, than the artists that we had in the past. That she's probably greater than Tina Turner. You know what I'm saying? What do you mean? But it's like, no, like this new regime of artists, especially now, because I think we really kick each other's ass now. It's not I think I'm the one that came up in this talent show of us and like really like put the pressure on motherfuckers. Like whether it's me sitting down having a conversation with Rihanna and be like, okay, look, performance this, da-da-da-da, and then Rihanna just doing what she does, and I know Beyonce was looking at that, and it's like Beyonce does that, and then she performs on this level, and then Chris Brown sees what Beyonce does, and you never know what Chris Brown's going to do by next summer because of that, and then Alicia goes and writes something, and then Coldplay's looking at Jay-Z and looking at me and shit like that, and be like, okay, look at how Kanye does this, and it's just like, now, like, we really are, like, this new regime of, like, living legends and da-da-da. And then the paparazzi, it seems like their whole job is to try to take away your iconic status and try to turn you into, like, I don't know, just, you know, turn you into the enemy. Because you're either going to be, once you're a superhero, you only have a choice of being a superhero or a supervillain. And basically, they turn, like, Michael Jackson into a supervillain. When you bring up Michael Jackson's name, people say, like, 8 negative things. And really, he's done so much positive for us. And not even really done negative towards us. It's not like he's like sent us to war like he's George Bush or something, but people will hold him in the same light almost as a George Bush because they say so many negative things about him. And my thing is like with a paparazzi, it's like, no, you're trying to take this picture so I can look crazy and like, you want to take a picture where I look, when my mouth is like this? Or something that I can do because I had an accident, you know, and I'm super self-conscious about it, and that's the photo you want to put up. You want to put up a picture that, like, with me walking next to 3 girls, but actually 2 of these girls are just a girl's friend, and like, yeah, this is a nice girl I met, blah, 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 and you try to make me look like some type of womanizer, or just, you know, just things to take away from, this dude makes good songs that connect across the world, and that's like a pretty impossible thing to do, and people forget the main thing, and that's the reason why I, like, come up and like stop a paparazzi from taking pictures because they're taking photos for a negative reason or just to try to get some money off of you. And the more negative the shot is, the more money they can make, which is some bullshit. And also there should be laws against it because they're using the internet, you know, as this revenue stream, and laws have not caught up to the fact that they're like, they've just beat the law at this point. It's like, there's no law against this yet. So it's like when before smoking packs used to have warnings on them. We just need like warnings on the paparazzi camera. Warning, might take a piece of your soul, and like that's okay. Go ahead.
When you're not performing, have you got any other plans while you're in New Zealand? Are you going to do any sightseeing or anything?
Yeah, sleep. I'm going to sleep.
There's nothing else you'd like to see?
Yeah, it is. The back of my eyelids. I just want to. Like that's what I've been doing up to this point where I did this press conference. I'm sorry. Thank you. I need the in-ear Ronald Reagan presidential. Yeah, no, I know the politically correct thing would be to say that I'm going to see the Capitol or whatever, but I'm completely going to sleep, and then I'm going to perform really good, and then I'm going to go back to sleep. And but sometimes, you know, we've shopped before. We've like actually recorded out here. We recorded like Common's album. I made like The Glory, I think I made out here. Let the Beat Bill on Wayne's album, I made out here and stuff. So we've been to the studio and just like vibed out. I might do a little working out and shit. But other than that, I'm going to sleep. Yeah.
Kia ora, Kanye. I'm Hayley J from Radio 95 BFM. I just want to ask about your blog that you update yourself. How has that, the interactiveness with your fans, how did that affect your creative process during this album?
Well, the politically correct thing to say would be, well, you know, people gave me suggestions and I listened to them. But that's not the case. But what's good is like I can constantly keep people updated on the things that I'm thinking about doing, because you know it's so many opinions on there. I can't take everybody's opinion, but when someone says something that's like really extremely positive, like sometimes I'll take the post and put it back up and just, you know, sometimes people say things that are like really motivational, and it seems like they have some type of insight or understand or are really fans, because fans are like really like family members. Like they'll fight for you and stuff. They'll argue. Like I used to argue for Mace because I was just such a fan of Mace, and he used to get so much backlash. He's such a talented dude, and it's like people who actually fight for my honor and stuff, and those people will like say like really inspirational, positive things, and I'll read those things and it'll really make me feel good. And then people will say certain times people could just, when I see a negative comment coming on, I try to like stop reading it before I even read the whole thing. So the best way to really try to stab me in the heart is to keep your negative comments really short, so that I can like accidentally read it before I stopped it. So that's a suggestion to all venomous people. Go ahead.
Hi, how does your fan base vary around the world when you're touring around?
It seems like it's very good because a lot of people there and they know the song. So what do you mean, like culturally, like age and race and gender and stuff like that?
I just mean the crowds when you're actually performing.
What about that same question?
How do the crowds kind of vary around the world?
Vary in what way? That's what I'm saying. Age, race, gender, like what?
Age,
that's what you're asking?
Everything really.
Everything meaning what specifically?
Well, just kind of the feedback that you get from the crowd.
Oh, they go crazy. Like, and it seems like the older the song, the better now. Like it's really being instilled, and my fans keep getting younger and younger, which is just an amazing thing. Which I never want to ever lose that. Like the younger fan base. So it's like just getting wider and wider. So there'll be people who just started listening to my music, and they were like, 35 or something when my first album dropped, and they'll still show up, and it's straight 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 12-year-olds at the concert too. So it's like the widest base. Like, what is that music playing? That is ridiculous. Okay, go ahead.
Kanye, perhaps cares about politics and your country and your history. What do you think?
That's completely false, though. I don't care about politics, though. I don't know anything about politics, though.
Well, what do you think then about Barack Obama becoming president?
Oh, it sucked.
Do you think he can live up to the hype? Do you think he can live up to all the hype that's expected of him, as opposed to George Bush? Is there anything?
Oh, yeah, well, I think it's obvious, like, I mean, we just see what happens, but if anything, Barack shows you that anything is possible. Even when I'm, like, frustrated about things, I just think, like, wow, Barack Obama became president, and it keeps me going, and, like, it pushes me. It's, like, such an amazing time. It's such an amazing accomplishment. I think it was the most incredible thing that's happened in American history, period, since George Washington. Like, it was the most important thing. And someone's having a conversation with me talking about the decade, the first decade of this century, and saying that one of the first things you remember is 9/11, and one of the last things you remember is Barack Obama, and in between that you remember like George Bush, like forcing everybody into wars and stuff like that. So for such a depressing decade, for it to end off on such a positive, uplifting note was amazing. I think everyone kind of believes in America, because I can say this in every country, that America is like the number one country in the world where people are like, they're coming to America, where people look at America and look at the democracy and look at the idea that someone, can come from descents of slaves and end up being president, and it gives you hope. it gives everyone hope, even in their own government and even in their own space, that, wow, the dream of America is still real, because we used to represent something at one time that, you know, Bush definitely took that away. And now we have like a new face again, and everyone like kind of believes in America again. And what I realized about traveling the world is, me traveling the world, I'm not black or white. More than anything, I'm American. So more when I step here, I'm not really just I'm not so much representing a black person. I'm more representing an American. And that's what I learned, like going to fashion shows and stuff. You know, the Yanks are like really low on the fashion totem pole and stuff right now. It's like not too many like good American designers to people. So like with Marc Jacobs, I love Marc Jacobs so much because he's like the head of the biggest house. Like, and it's like an American dude. So it's not about gay or straight, black or white. Blah. It's more like about, and it's weird because I'm like talking in a country full of like non-Americans and stuff like that. But I'm just saying the pride of America has been restored, and we have a new face. It's like a brand. Like every country is a brand. And America was like the Louis Vuitton of the countries and stuff. And we just had a really terrible head designer for like 8 years. So now it's time we got like Christopher Kane in, or somebody that's like really, really young and dope, and maybe can like turn this brand around. So, yeah. My interviews are so un-Bono-esque because they're like, you know, you're supposed to be like, and I'm in the country and I'm going to do this and stuff, and I'm all like, man, I'm going to sleep and I'm American. So it's the shit that I'm saying could like be halfway taken rude and stuff like that, but it's completely from a pure place. Like I'm completely just a grown child just talking to you. It's like sort of self-absorbed or whatever. But that's one of the main keys to like stars and shit. Like we're really self-absorbed and stuff. Like you talk to Madonna, it's like the 80% of the conversation is gonna be about herself. Or like Michael Jackson, I noticed that too. I was like, yo, I used to think I was arrogant, but now I see like all the super duper iconic stars are like way self-absorbed. But it's not just because they're self-absorbed of who they are as a person, but it's more like they're walking brands. Like I'm like the living version of Nike or something like that. And if you were like the president of Nike, you would talk about Nike all the time. So I'm sort of like the president of me. And it's like, so you're forced to like constantly like develop your brand and shit and talk about it. Okay. You have a question?
What is it about Chris Martin and Coldplay?
He's like the new John Mayer.
You love working with?
I think just maybe like man, black community and hip hop and all that is just a matter of you know, a couple people going over and just exposing a brand or a group and saying like this is cool, we like it now. So I think it was like really Timberland was kind of the first dude like up on Coldplay, and then Brandy had that album where the first line of the album was "Turn some Coldplay on," and this was like a black album, and I think that line really like inset, and people are like, yo, maybe I should turn some Coldplay on, and like for some reason it just kind of it was sort of like also the band that black people knew about too. And it's like all this good music out there that listeners don't also buy. Like, you know, you go to iTunes, like listeners also bought. And so that was kind of like the brand, the band that like Timberland turned people on to. Then after that, like Jay-Z started turning people on to it. And then I started doing it. And or bands that I like to turn black people on to are like Keen. You know, Radiohead, that I like people to listen to more. I think black people listen to Portishead a lot because it was like that, you know, back in 94, 95, 96, it was like they had a really, really hip-hop sound. So that's my answer to it, that's why I think that, we as black people and hip-hop people really listen to them a lot.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up there. Sorry, is there anything else you want to add before we go, Kanye?
Well, I'll take this last question right here, and then
the songs on 808 and Heartbreak, is the content all inspired from a bad relationship?
Well, it's from just suffering like multiple losses at the same time. It's like losing an arm and a leg, like literally. and trying to walk through that, and basically just barely like hopping through life at that point. And you know, I was able to create the most ridiculous pieces of art like after that, you know, just for a little bit, you know, just by completely trying to be numb to the situation and not think about the past and not think about my relationship and everything. And, you know, did the tour and just came up with the ideas and like toured hard and just worked. I know you all know, like, if you have pain, a lot of times you'll just work through the pain. And it was like when I took off, when the tours are over, which seemed like a good thing, it was actually the worst thing I could have done because it put me in a completely like miserable state. But this is the only type of music that I could make or create at that time. But one of the main things, you know, I want to stress about 808's is there hasn't been any albums, I think, in the past 10 years that express what the guy goes through in a relationship. It's always like, you got artists like Pink and Keisha Cole and Mary J. Blige and stuff like that, but where's like a guy and stuff, like a masculine guy, like a, you better watch the way you talking to me, yo, like a tough guy that actually is hurt and feels away and feels like, damn, like, it's real like midlife crisis shit on there. Like, my friend showed me pictures of his kids and all I can show him is pictures of my cribs. I think it's like one of the most profound lines that I've come up with. Dad crack a joke, all the kids laugh, but I couldn't hear him all the way in first class. So, you know, you would think that first class is the place to be, but it's something very pure about that. And that line relates to the idea of money being a prison or fame being a prison. You have so much that you end up having so little. You do everything and miss everything. That, you know, you'll see people just playing in the park, and it's just like playing catch with his son or something, dad playing catch with his son. And I'll think like, man, if I wanted to do that, it's going to be like 30 paparazzi. There's going to be people asking for autographs. It's going to be like, so I need to like go to some secluded patch of grass surrounded by some great big fucking rocks and trees so I could just play catch with my son when I eventually have a son by a non-gold digger, which I don't know where to find that. And then it's just like, yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, hook me up. I'm looking, so.